All right, y'all. So you could call this part 1.5 of the quote unquote ultimate new moon ceremony. If you missed it, part 1 was just the basic chart, and I just went through like a quick rundown of the planets and the signs and then their aspects. The third part, I believe I went through the new moon to full moon quote unquote cinematic rundown, end quote. And then 1.5 and part 2 I'm going to do right now and on Monday, which is just like, what the planets are doing in the gates. And generally, just like what the fuck is going on within, the alignments of in the skies, and how people, wherever the fuck they're at, how they're responding to it from an unknown level. They don't know about this fucking shit, to a more known level, and they're barely beginning their process of snapping themselves out of their own confusion and possession, because people new to this, they're in a state of confusion, they're in a state of conditioning, they're in a state of like conformity, they're in a state of possession, they're in a state of toxicity, they're in a state of detriment, they're in a state of like, their own self-hate, whether they know it or not. Because for them to hate on someone else, their own petty way of thinking, it's because there's something that they don't like about themselves, or they don't like about how just the bigger picture system of the universe works. Because in the end, in one of my underground podcasts, everything is advanced karma, but we just can't see it like that. Because once we know what we did in like just an overall sense, then we could have the intelligence and courage to take responsibility, to own up to our fucking situation, to where we're at. And sometimes the pitfalls, the hard times in life, those aren't always bad. Those are like things that the soul wants to go through so it could develop its own strength. And we don't necessarily know that the future could be taken care of still. Somewhere along the line, we're signing up for those challenges in a unique way based on how we followed up on our desires. So within saying all of that, um here we are, because like, when there's a new when there's a new arrangement of just like people in a place, of course, new people, wherever the fuck they're at in their life stage or their life growth, in whatever stage they're at, they're gonna assume like, oh, this person's that, this person's that. They're gonna judge face value on the surface level just because there's a lack of critical intelligence and critical thinking. And within that, whether they realize it or not, that doesn't necessarily hold any weight, because all of their fucking judgments on that they're projecting and placing upon someone else, it's not necessarily true. That's their level of intelligence. So should we really, really, really give a fuck about people who have petty intelligence that they throw on you? No, it doesn't fucking matter in the end. So since it doesn't matter, keep moving along. Let life show them what they need to be fucking shown, and keep doing you. Because people that project and judge and they think you're a certain way, that's not true, and it doesn't matter, and life will show them and change them like on a significant level that they can't comprehend, but they could. That like how they're judging and projecting, it doesn't mean shit, it doesn't mean shit. That's just where they're at in their stage of growth. And from their stage of growth in those couple days or weeks or months, they still have a whole fucking life ahead of them waiting for them. And maybe they'll look back on this fucking day and appreciate this shit, That like, oh man, maybe he could have some type of different alignment with a different, bigger picture that is like the real mechanics of the quote unquote universe, end quote. Because I understand how people is like, where they're coming from. Like, people are gonna judge, they're gonna project, they're gonna be toxic because they're confused in their stage of life, or they're toxic in their stage of life. And they're toxic and confused because they don't want to face themselves. They don't want to heal their traumas, right? So since they don't want to face themselves and heal their traumas, they perpetuate their own toxicity and confusion, regardless of your level of status or physicality. And that perpetuates your essence of life pretty much. Because like like we could have an intuitive understanding of like, okay, this is where they're at, But guess what? I don't give a fuck about that shit. Excuse my French. and I'm just doing this for me, you know, like that's the thing. I'm like lessening the human comparison, right? And once I lessen the human comparison, then I can take the focus back, and I don't have to be distracted upon this petty shit. I don't have to be distracted upon this insecure ass shit. I don't have to be distracted upon this toxic shit. I don't have to be distracted by someone else's, like, you know, confused agenda shit. I don't have to be distracted about any of that baby ass bullshit, respectively, in respects to the energy and the life path and the people who actually want to fucking better themselves. That's what it's for. So, and it's funny because now I'm gonna dive into my topic, Neptune and Aries. Neptune is transiting from Pisces to Aries, and as that's being done in the human design lens, Neptune is actually in the gate 25, and as Neptune is in the gate 25, the gate 25 is the gate of innocence. So let me pause for a second. The gate of innocence. It's kind of, that's like rich, you know, because it's like, let me just take a breath real quick, because any planet could be in any gate, but for Neptune to be in a gate of innocence, it's kind of like, it's like a unique paradox, right? And it's a unique paradox because Neptune is a savage. Like it really is. Like Neptune is like, and you don't necessarily have to subscribe to traditional astrology. Neptune could be just as much as a ruler of Pisces as Jupiter, you know? They could be like shared rulers. It doesn't have to be like one's above the other. No, they're both significant. It's like two out of, like, you know, the thing, the specimens and the beings that are coming out of the constellations, it's in like beyond the trillions, because we're talking about like life forms, bacteria, right? So like for like quadrillions of like specimens to come out of something, for quadrillions of specimens to come out of something, and then like for it to just be like two things, then they have fucking, that's a lot of significance, right? So since there's a lot of significance there, it's like Neptune is the higher octave of Venus, but you could look at Neptune in like, rather than it being the surface level human planet Earth life, Neptune is like more of that, like that ethereal dream world. So it's like finding love, appreciation, respect, relatability towards the dream world. So as we're doing that, we could go to extreme measures to get that love. So it could be like Neptune and Pisces. That this is like low key. This is all that fucking like, this is like, respectively, this is like that Italian mafia shit, you know, because they're going for extreme measures to fucking relate to what they want to fucking create for their fantasy life, you know? So I don't know, Neptune and Pisces to Neptune and Aries, it's like kind of seeing like, you know, we are what we are, you know, we start off as we start off. And now Neptune and Aries is like, you know, Aries being something of a really open sign. Like Aries does what it wants for it to feel comfortable for itself. The gate 25, innocence, Neptune is in Aries. Gate 25 is a part of Aries, and gate 25 is innocence. But like Neptune isn't necessarily like per se innocent, you know? So it's like we're like seeing there's like an extreme nature to see like how we ended up where we ended up based on the predecessors. So we're finding extreme spiritual love, spiritual relatability to just the innocence of everybody, right? Because Aries is like the individual, and every individual has a paradox innocence. But from that paradox innocence, we came out of like some type of like cosmic fires of many different creations. So Neptune is in Aries. I believe we got Mercury in Leo, and I believe something else is in Leo right now. So that's a trine. So Leo, Neptune is exalted in Leo. So it's like Leo is someone who actually like kind of preserves and fixates and kind of has the quality talent to kind of hone in and ground the fantasy world. Leo could like ground the fantasy world because Neptune is exalted in Leo. So somehow Leo, fixed fire, has the natural ability to just kind of be there to hold it down in like this fucking fantasy world. And then Mercury and Leo trining Neptune in Aries, that's Aries is like creative fire, like the creation of fire, and then Leo is kind of like preserving that fire. So we're having the chance to see the creation and the preservation of fire being honed in by us knowing that, knowing how to do that, and seeing how we're bringing like imaginative spiritual quality, new imaginative spiritual like fantasy based narratives are being rebirthed. Neptune and Aries. So that's a trine right now. So the trines are like a gift. So we could have the fucking knowledge to see how there's an extreme duality. What is an extreme duality? An extreme quote unquote light and night, good and bad energetically. Not good, not bad, but good and bad, good and evil. Not good, not good, not evil. But like there's like to every like good thing, there's a shadow, right? To every high, there's a low, right? So within every high and low, there's a fucking Neptune and Aries is like under the scenes of like new imaginative creative fires being birthed. People are gonna just naturally be jealous, and they're gonna fucking plan and plot their shit behind the scenes in their own individual way, and they don't necessarily know that's seen and known because it's Aries. Aries is the individual, so Neptune is highlighting everybody's individuality and their place in the dream world, right? Because Neptune is the fourth bringer of the fantasies and the dream world, and that fantasy and dream world is highlighting Aries individuality, right? And then Sagittarius, there's not any major planets in Sagittarius, but go back to my Instagram. I need to clean up my Instagram. My Instagram's hella fatty too. And I bring on my Instagram, I bring up this fucking concept called compensation astrology. So all the Sagittariuses, we could lean to them to complete the trine, the grand trine of Aries, Leo, and Sag, grand trine, so we could actually create, preserve, and transform the fires of seeing. We could use the Sagittarius people, the higher octave, healthy, beneficial, healed ones, to see the healthy higher octave Sagittarius could help us transform and move to how we could, like, you know, make the fantasy of the individual reality and see the shadow oppositions of that, Neptune and Aries. And the Sagittarius could also help us with Mercury and Leo, seeing how we could communicate where our inner child is at. And we could see how we're kind of like seeing what work we have to do from the ground up to see how we're working for Neptune. Leo's working for Neptune, because Neptune is like, there's like a co-relationship there, because Neptune is exalted in Leo, right? So within that, within the compensation astrology, to make a grand trine on the micro level, we could compensate that with Sagittarius. To make a grand trine, we could create, preserve, and transform fire, and that fire will purify us, so we could actually heal our inner child, Leo, be an individual, and find our innocence. And seeing how there's just a different shadow opposition to people's innocence, Neptune in Aries, and then Sag, you know, wherever Sag is in your chart, that area where Sag is in your chart, that's going to be playing out in your life. So I could do right now, like, I could do right now like Sag through the houses, right? Or maybe I'll do that later. And I think, I don't know, like, I've done a lot of stuff on my Instagram, right? So within all that stuff, I did like different signs through the houses. So I could do a mini ultimate new moon ceremony part 2 right now of like what the planets mean in the gates, or I could do that later. I just wanted to like kind of like highlight the paradox of Neptune is in Aries and what that kind of means intuitively, and just where my fucking individual shit is at. And just seeing how like new people, if they hate on you, it's because they didn't get enough attention when they were growing up. And now it's not good or bad when the universe isolates you. But that isolation lesson, when you're lonely, it just means you have to, like, you have some shadow work to do. And you have some healing to do. And if you shit on people who help you and assist you, that's just who you are then, you know? And like, that's just who you are. Because I get how people, I understand psychology on an esoteric level, whether people understand that or not. And if they don't understand, I really don't give a fuck, because the mechanics are going to do what they're going to fucking do. And everything is advanced karma, me referring to a different underground podcast, and I expound more upon that way differently. Anybody who is confused about something I say, then it's up to you to have an intelligent question to clarify your question. And there's a big possibility I could have the answer to your confusion, because obviously there's always going to be confusion, right? There's always going to be a question, obviously, like no F and she. So maybe real quick, I'll do a real quick rundown. I was doing a written summary on the planets and the gates, but I could just show you right here real quick. I don't know if on part 1, I'll do it again. So on part 1, I try to show that chart, right? So this chart, it's a new moon ceremony. It's a negentropic human design ceremony. I came up with this like in 2022 in spring when I was in Lake Tahoe, and I put it on my Instagram. And the first template similar to this was in 2022, and I called it the Symphony of the Gods. And as I called it the Symphony of the Gods, I put it in the same format, and I kind of what was aligning with this shit. And this shit is, whether we know about what's happening like this or not, it's better for us to know about it so we could do some type of different intellectual work to emotional work, so we could align with how we know what is going on. And that's just general support. And if you shit on someone who supports you, that I don't know. I really don't know what to say. Like, this world is like, we're leaning towards, towards toxic, attitudes and behaviors, and the responsibility is yours. It's just kind of like, because I understand life could get I understand life could get like kind of sadistic, but like that's why like only God could really save you, and everybody could represent that quote unquote God quality within you, end quote. And if we don't know about this shit, we will still be going through this shit unknowingly, unconsciously. So it's better to know about this shit so we know how to move. So I just got done with the fitness class. I did like a 1.5-hour fitness class. And so this is part 1.5. I'll probably do part 2 on Monday. I just kind of wanted to like talk about Neptune and Aries real quick. So yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, so one day I'll clean up my Instagram, and maybe you could see like all the different like shit I already did. Like shit has already happened, like years ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, extreme changes that were made elsewhere. We're receiving the impacts of the changes that were already made. We're just the effect of a different cause, and it's up to us to cultivate a certain type of awareness and intelligence so we could be at ease, acceptance. We could be at some type of peace and gratitude to like how we still have a chance to like kind of survive, because simultaneously within this life, we're either going towards some type of unique death or unique life. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you very much. You have an awesome life.